Militarily Speaking, Season 2, Episode 1, Lacey Langford with the MILMO Show and MilMoneyCon, and probably a plethora of other things along the way, right?
I'm sure, and we'll probably learn about some of those, Tom. This episode, we talk with Lacey Langford with the MILMO Show and MilMoneyCon.
Welcome to Militarily Speaking, brought to you by Armed Forces Bank. This is Tom McLean and Jodi Vickery. I'm the military retail executive for Armed Forces Bank. Jodi comes and goes as she pleases. She is the chief digital officer. It's great to have Lacey here today. So it's been long overdue, and we're thrilled that we can have a fellow podcaster who's 4.62 times as many episodes as
seasoned pro. She's going to make us look good. I'm sure of it.
I know.
So again, welcome to our show. We're excited to have you listening and learning all about our guest, Lacey Langford. I do want to take just a second, Lacey, and share a little bit about our audience with you. Well, not with you. I could tell you about our audience, but I'm going to tell our audience about you probably is maybe more appropriate use of our time.
I fact-checked what she sent me, so we're good.
So you exhibited stalker-like activities. Anyway, Lacey Langford is an Air Force veteran, a military spouse, and accredited financial counselor who transforms people's relationship with money from fear to confidence. With over 15 years of financial experience, she understands firsthand the unique challenges military families face. Driven by her belief that helping one person can truly lift all, Lacey bootstrapped and built two impactful ventures. She founded MILMO, a community dedicated to empowering U.S. service members with financial literacy and entrepreneurial guidance, and hosts the MILMO Show podcast. She also created MilMoneyCon, the first national conference uniting financial professionals with military ties. Lacey's authentic, no-judgment approach has made her a trusted voice in the military financial space. Whether podcasting, speaking at conferences, or coaching individuals, she's passionate about making a positive difference in the military community, one service member at a time. So I'd say first, thank you for your service, both as a veteran yourself and as a military spouse. Yeah, and welcome to our show. It's an honor to have you. I'd love for
Jodi.
What?
This is our first episode of season 2. You were flawless in reading this.
I didn't stutter. I didn't stammer. I appreciate that positive feedback, Tom.
Well, it's downhill from here, but you did fantastic.
Yes.
So thanks for making a good first impression with Lacey.
I'm glad we made it to the intro before we went off the rails. Good job. So anyway, enough of Tom. Welcome, Lacey. It is an honor to have you on the show. I appreciate you being here with us. I would love for you to tell our audience at a high level about your work with the military community, but I know we're going to get off into a lot of detailed areas, but maybe give them a macro overview would be a great place to start.
Absolutely. First of all, thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be on the show and have this conversation. I help the military community as a financial coach. So I always say I help them make, save, and invest money wisely. And that's in different ways. That could be helping people with learning how to budget, how to get out of debt, to the other side of that coin, where it could be like, how do I save for my retirement? Understanding the thrift savings plan, understanding spousal IRAs, 401ks, those type of things, but helping people get to where they want to be. I always say, as a financial coach, I'm trying to work myself out of a job. You know, when I have done that, I know that I've gotten somebody to where they need to be, and they can touch base with me in the future if they'd like to. But that is always my goal, is to help people get where they want to be with money. And I'm very passionate about the community that I serve. I love what I do. You know, it's like family to me. And I definitely just want to make an impactful, positive movement for service members and their families, because I know what that's like.
Yep, I feel exactly the same. So I can fully appreciate those words.
Lacey, we're going to step back a second, right? Because you and I were together at we'll call it the MBS 2025, Military Banking Summit 2025 with AMBA last week in Colorado Springs. So we should both put a plug in for MBS 2026, right? Because
Absolutely.
It was a wonderful event. And I guess I'm on the board of AMBA, and I've been at these conferences a lot. You've been an attendee at this conference for several years and been a great spokesperson on behalf of your work and representing the military community. But any key takeaways that you had from this most recent summit? Because it kind of took on a different flavor, a lot more engaging, a lot more interactive, a lot more useful, pertinent, relevant information that people can take back to their daily lives and employ. And so I thought it was really one of our best summits ever.
Yes, I thought it was fantastic. There was a lot of, it's always humbling for me as a financial coach, going to any banking, let alone military banking, is a little intimidating because it's just a whole different world for me. Yes, I work in the financial space, but I don't think people understand like this ecosystem. Like there are all these different players that are very important to improving the financial life of service members and their family. And so I thought that was fantastic information, great sessions. I really loved, and I got up very early for it. It was started at 7 a.m. the first day, but they had a session about cryptocurrency and digital assets, which I thought was fascinating.
And with the Genius Act recently approved, I mean, banks have to deal with the ever-changing landscape out there. And you also find out that you thought bankers were stuffy bankers, but then you saw me there.
But then you met Tom.
Right.
Shattered that.
But yeah, we had a potpourri of people across all landscapes, from banks to nonprofits to financial educators to fintechs. I mean, it was.
And then Tom.
And then me.
And then Tom.
Who doesn't even fit into any of those, right?
Well, but that's what I think is fascinating. There was everybody, that's in this field helping that, has kind of the same goal. But with the focus on banking, it's very informative to me. Also, just the amazing work you all are doing that I don't think a lot of people see. So I think it helps me be better at what I'm doing. But just alone talking about how you guys are going to figure out like cryptocurrency and implementing that, to sessions on fraud, that's also just so humbling, which you all have to, I think everybody in the community deals with that. But I think the financial impacts on banks, I don't think people realize what a first line of defense you are for service members as it relates to fraud. So I thought it was fantastic. Not to mention the food was awesome.
Yeah, I've heard rumor of shrimp. I'm not sure.
Yeah, there was no shrimp after about first 22 minutes.
After Tom vacated the buffet, there were no shrimp. Yeah. So I want to talk about, so you're really considered a thought leader in this space. Tom likes to fancy himself a thought leader in a lot of
Lacey,
different spaces.
I'm still waiting for maybe Lacey can send me a t-shirt that says #ThoughtLeader or something.
We're working on that. We're going to, I would like one too. But you are considered a subject matter expert and actually a real thought leader in financial education space when it comes to the military community. I'd love to hear your thoughts and have you share with our audience what you really see out there today as the biggest needs, the gaps, the opportunity for organizations, banks, others to step in and fill those gaps, and what kind of tools and resources you think are most needed right now to help the military community.
I don't know how much time we have.
Right.
Just as one thing that I think people don't remember a lot, but it's so obvious, is that the majority of people serve in the military are under the age 25. So we're dealing with a very young group of individuals. And I can't speak for everybody in the world, but I can speak for my 19, 20-year-old self that was enlisted. And I, made some poor decisions. Even though I was told differently from my parents and my leadership, I wasn't always a good listener. And I think it's really important to realize hey, they might not be ready this moment, but when they are, we're here with arms wide open, full of resources and help to move them to where they want to be, whether that's they've just figured out, hey, I shouldn't have credit cards. We should be ready to help with resources for that. I've started a family. I need to save money. I need to know how to buy a car, those type of things. So I think the basics are really important, but then also being ready for trends and things that are changing. I'm a big drum roller of how important it is for people to be paying attention to buy now, pay later. I think this is a new payday loan. It's just been prettied up. It's everywhere now. When you check out online, you can even get it in stores. And there's not a lot of education on it. So that's the thing that I want there to be more, is for people to understand, because we're dealing with people that, are 18 years old. This is the first time probably they're on their own, they're buying things and they're seeing online, hey, I could just pay 4 payments for this instead of paying for it all now. So I think it's really important for people to start having conversations, whether that's one-on-one with service members and their families, because it also impacts military spouses because they're doing a lot of the shopping, being online, those type of things. So educating them so they're prepared to make a really informed decision come checkout time, because it can be really tempting, especially when you're going month to month, paycheck to paycheck, that hey, if we did this in payments, that could leave us a little bit more wiggle room, and not realizing, hey, there are fees. If you are late on these payments, there's going to be fees. Just like with payday loans, there's going to be a paperwork handling fee or something crazy that's added on that basically becomes a really high interest rate for service members. So that's what I think about is the basics, but also staying ahead of what's out there. And when there's new trends, we should create new content, new information, new resources and services to help combat and educate that.
I think that's such a great answer. I mean, one of my favorite types of individuals to counsel with respect to their finances is that young person that you pull up their credit report and it's empty. And I'm like, isn't this a beautiful thing? It's a blank canvas. Let's agree now that we're not going to screw this up and get dirty it up and all of that. And then with the comments on buy now, pay later, I mean, it's the world of instant gratification, I think, and anymore. And that kind of stuff can really sneak up on you for sure.
So who do you think, I'm going to go off script.
Shocking.
So who's responsible for making sure that the information gets funneled to that 17-year-old enlistee or recruit? I mean, I think we're all in this together. We talk about the military community, check your ego at the door. You all got to work together on this thing because we're all driving towards one mission, is to make our service members and their families more educated and more financially responsible. But, if you're 17 years old and you don't have that parent-child relationship, you don't have a household where you can get that, what resources who's that source of truth out there, and how do they figure that out at that age?
That's really hard to say because you have to go where they're at, and that would be social media. So creating little clips online, whether that's just an image explaining what buy now, pay later is, whether that is, because I'm not a fan, I'm a financial professional, so I'm not a thespian. So I'm not going to have very creative social media, acting, but I can do a video where I'm explaining what buy now, pay later is. I've done a whole podcast about it, written articles about it. I think it's really important. And I think I agree with you. Absolutely. We're all in this. We're all responsible for it. And the thing to remember is when they're ready, we need to be there. And that's the whole community. And so if they listen to my podcast, yes, that's great. They listen to your podcast, they could get that information. They see something online, where could they further get information about that? I think the Department of Defense has some information about it, but everybody's involved because when we find somebody, they might not resonate. So they might be told by their leadership, hey, you have to go talk to a financial counselor on installation. And they might get somebody that they totally zing with, that totally gets them. And they're like, yes, I want to learn more. And they're excited about it. But they also might meet somebody and it's just and also as a financial coach, counselor, it's your responsibility to refer people. If it's like, okay, hey, I'm clearly not getting my message across to you. There's somebody actually that might be better for you. I'll refer you to this person because they might be able to explain it in a way that excites you or gets you curious or gets you motivated. And so I think as the first line of defense, whoever's sitting down with service members, that's really important to say, hey, I can help. And if it's not working, pass them off to somebody. I say that all the time when I'll have people that like, well, I went to get financial help and they didn't know what they were talking about, or they were judgmental, or they were clueless, whatever it is, the reason why it didn't work. I always point out there's a lot of us. There's a lot of us. And so that's just like going to a doctor. If you're like, hey, they're not listening to me, then go get another doctor. There's a lot of people out there. So you just kind of have to, everybody has to do their part. The service member and the families need to do their part, like to find somebody and get themselves out there. But as financial professionals, we need to not have a huge ego to say, you know what, I'm not the best person for you. Like I always give the example, if I have a service member that comes, has financial issues for adoption and infertility, like that's not my area of expertise, but I know some people that are really good at that. And I want to get them to those people because they are really going to move the needle. I would just be like, so, and I'm okay with admitting I'm so in this area, but I know a person that's going to knock it out of the park. So I think being mindful of all of these things and then also not to keep rambling on about it, but is also learning style. Some people are kinesthetic. So how can we create something that shows them how this all works? Is that they're a visual learner? Are we creating great images that motivate people and want them, whether that's Pinterest or social media or on our websites, those type of things. So I think it's a multi-pronged approach that we need to have about it, but we just need to know when they're ready to reach out. We don't want to lose them. That's my point, is we don't want to lose them. Like they made the first step. Let's meet them and get them going.
Yeah, there is a sense of information overload to some degree out there, but I think you're right. The 30-second vignettes, the attention span of a younger audience or a targeted audience for learning about financial education, they want it pithy, they want it quick, they and they want it to be informative and accurate too, because to your blank canvas point, Jodi, that people don't know that your credit score impacts maybe your base clearance or your ability to move up in rank, and the impact on what your interest rate might be if you were to borrow down the road or even qualify for a home down the road. So again, it's sort of hunt and peck a little bit for people that are trying to figure it out, but they've got to find out what they're comfortable and how they want to learn. To your point, gamification is another growing avenue for people to get education in front of others. We could go on and on about that. So let's move on, shall we?
We shall.
It's time to focus on your podcast. I shouldn't say you're a competitor of ours, but you are. So I'm not going to bring it up. So let's move on. No.
Next question.
So I think last I read, you're at over 360?
No, 353.
Okay.
353.
But who's counting?
Yeah.
Katie, we're going to we're at episode 1.
Actually, to be honest, I'm not out with 353. I have it planned. It's my special birthday episode, but it's coming soon.
And your birthday is?
September 15th.
Well, it's one day after my husband's birthday.
Virgo.
Anybody
3
else?
days after my grandmother's birthday. That's all I got.
I think she just wanted to get that on air to get gifts.
And if you would like to send Lacey a gift, you can find her address.
And her phone
on the
number is
website.
555.
Yes,
You can send electronic gift cards too.
No, every year I do a special episode, like for my birthday. It's usually birthday week, but my birthday falls on a Monday this year. And I try to do something special. And a lot of times I'm interviewing a family member. So I interviewed
nice.
my grandmother. I think at the time she was 95. She's going to be 98. But talking about like what money was like growing up for her and her first job and how that all worked. Like my favorite question was like, what did you do when you didn't have enough money? And she's like, we did without.
Yeah.
Well, she went through she went through the Great Depression too, right?
Yes. And
wow.
just talks about it all. So it was very interesting. So I'm happy to capture some of those moments, but I come from a military family. So it's always fun. Like I've interviewed my mom and my dad, my siblings. So it's interesting.
That's awesome.
I think in Jodi's intro, we kind of got the vibe for what the mission or focus of your podcast is, because it's what you do. It's what you think about 24/7. I won't ask you what your favorite podcast episode was with me, but we can certainly. Are there certain episodes? Because I think you even have on your site like your top 10, either most listened or best content, however you want to coin it. But are there some podcasts that stand out for you over the last 400 plus?
Yes.
I mean, I'm rounding up, but are there some that stand out that say, you've got to go listen to this particular episode, that we can direct people to your site to be able to access those?
Yes. I mean, there's some I don't want to, show favoritism here, Tom, for guests.
I know.
But
just list them all then.
Yes. Yeah. But I try to do a combination of I interview people, but I also do solo shows. So if there's something I really want to talk about, like, the buy now, pay later clearly is something I'm passionate about. I've talked about that. But I had an episode which I was really surprised. It was something that was frustrating me. And, I see it with service members and their families. I see it in my own home. And so I did this whole show, and it's, do you know what your trash is worth? And just talked to, and it was very well received. It was one of my most popular episodes, but it was a short episode, but just talking about how much money people waste.
Yeah.
Whether that is they buy all these groceries and they end up going out to eat, or they over prepare. I talked about in a relationship, are you a leftover person or a no leftover person? I feel like I am the trash panda of my house, where I have to eat all the leftovers because I don't want to waste them. But just talked about like the things that you spend your money on. Are you getting your money's worth of it? And in this particular episode, really focusing on food and the amount of money that people waste. A lot of people don't pack their lunch when they could pack their lunch and be even more food for a better price, and how that aligns with your goals. So that was one of my, I think, favorite shows. And another popular one I just mentioned was the episode with my grandmother was a very popular episode, just because of her age and the stories she told and things like that. So
what did you name that one? Do you remember?
It says birthday episode, my grandma.
Okay.
Yes. And then I did a really funny one with my siblings. This was years ago. I don't know what episode it is, but it was also in September. That's usually when I have my family on. But my parents needed to save money. They have 4 children, and getting our wisdom teeth pulled was an extra expense that was not in my parents' budget. And so I have 2 older sisters and a younger brother. So myself and my 2 older sisters had our wisdom teeth pulled for research at the NIH. Yes.
To see if they were packed full of wisdom or...
You think, but anyway,
No,
so
you can't do that.
they were not. But so anyway, so my parents saved a ton of money, but each of me and my sisters had a very different experience. The 2 middle children didn't have a good research experience.
Oh, no.
And then my little brother got his taken out normal. My parents paid for those. So anyway, it was a very funny episode about like how our parents with 4 kids had to budget. And that was part of it, is like everybody had to do their part. And I did my part by having my wisdom teeth pulled for research.
That's amazing. It's also like when you go to the what's it called, the cosmetology school to get your haircut, because it's a little less expensive.
Yes.
But you're never quite sure how that's going to come out.
Yes. But this one involved IVs and...
Yeah, that one sounds a little more painful.
I just wish I had cool stories like Lacey does. I'm going to start making up stories in my life.
That's not new behavior.
Right.
Not new behavior, Tom.
But I've also I do a mix of shows. Most of them have to do with personal finance, but there's also some shows on entrepreneurship, because that's a big part of our community, is making money to contribute to the household, especially military spouses are doing side hustles and just starting their own businesses. Their gigs, to bring in that income and have some stability and make something where they can earn income that's PCS proof. So I talk about some of those things, whether that's starting their own business, marketing, social media, those type of things.
And one of the breakout sessions that I don't know if you were in that one, about small business and how military spouses and veterans need access to capital and need access to business plans. And as they transition from military life, certainly you're gearing that up for that as spouses. And spouse unemployment is still 23-25%. Isn't that right, Lace? That
sounds about right.
To give them just new and innovative ideas to help adding to those unmet needs financially when they do PCS, because a lot of those emergencies come up. Nobody budgets enough for PCS. And so, having that extra savings. And I looked at stats recently about, in certain age groups, what savings people have. It's sad to know what they have set aside, even in the 50s and 60s, 65-year-olds, about what they have set aside. And we just need to do a better job as a society to get people educated about how to save.
Oh, absolutely. And I think too, when it comes to entrepreneurship and military spouses, I always say the day you swear in is the day you should be planning your exit from the military. Yeah. One way or another, you're leaving. And so you should be preparing for this. And for military spouses, and I know because this is why I ended up starting a coaching business, is I wanted control over my earning ability and my career. And so creating a business that was PCS proof was great, but it's also a wonderful foundation for the transition out of the military, to have some continuity, some stability, because the whole family is getting out of the military. And as a service member trying to figure out what they want to do post-military life, if a military spouse has started a business or even their career, then I think it's a really overlooked component of personal finance in the military community is actually entrepreneurship.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And if the spouse has gainful employment, it makes that transition a little less stressful, perhaps, because you don't have both people being upended in their career at the same time. So I do want to shift gears a little bit, Lacey. I want to talk about MilMoneyCon, not com, MilMoneyCon.
So can I ask you a question about that?
Absolutely.
There's no connection to Comic-Con or anything, right? I mean, was that the thought process, though, about having something con, or is it just because it's a conference?
It's just because it's a conference. There's actually a lot of conferences. No.
Lacey, you didn't buy into that one. So
no, I'm sorry.
Tom just wants to dress up, is what I'm gathering.
I mean, you can.
We could dress up as money,
like
or
a dollar
card.
bill.
Yeah. Yes.
That's how a bill becomes a law, Tom.
You could be the walking sandwich board for credit cards.
You could be a credit card, Tom.
Or a responsible credit card that's secured by a savings account.
Yes. So I want to talk about MilMoneyCon, Lacey. So it's an annual event. It's been out there since 2021. So you've got a few years under your belt. I'd love to understand a little bit about the goals of the event, who attends, who should attend if they haven't already, and what are your plans for your 2026 event?
Like a mark your calendar
Like
now.
circle it now.
Besides
save the
September
date.
15th, the birthday.
Buy your
When is-
costume now.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love that we're starting that rumor to wear a costume
Yes.
to MilMoneyCon.
Just dress up like a
I'll go
penny.
I will go as buy now, pay later. So I
Yes.
can be like, put an X
The
through
poster
myself.
child for that.
Tom's
Yeah.
coming as a piggy bank.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good. Darn it. That would be a good one too.
Not a lot of change to that physique. Yep.
It's got
So,
nothing. Better
good.
than the Tin Man costume.
We're, Jodi?
Yes, I'll send you pictures, Lacey.
Yes, please.
But anyway,
do. I'd
go right
hear
ahead. Tell us all about MilMoneyCon. Please take us out of this.
that. Yes, I will save you both.
As a military spouse, I understand how unpredictable life can be. Whether it's a PCS move or just everyday expenses, money can be tight. That's why it's so important to have a checking account that works for you.
Armed Forces Bank offers our Access Freedom checking accounts designed with military families in mind. If you're looking for no monthly fees, early military pay, and no fee access to over 38,000 ATMs nationwide, we've got you covered. Plus, with our user-friendly mobile app, managing your money is a breeze, no matter where you're stationed.
And with about 75% of our team affiliated with the military, Armed Forces Bank really understands the challenges faced by the military and their families. We've been supporting military families for over 100 years, so you know we'll always have your back.
If you're ready for a checking account that's as flexible as you are, head over to afbank.com or visit a branch near you. Armed Forces Bank, serving those who serve. Member FDIC, $25 opening deposit and e-statements required. Direct deposit required for early military pay. Closing new accounts within 90 days of opening will result in a $25 early closure fee. Message and data rates charged by your mobile phone carrier may apply.
So it's a conference for financial professionals that are united by military service, whether that is somebody that's on active duty that wants to come into the financial space as their next career. It's also for veterans, military spouses, people that have lived this life. So they're not necessarily serving the military community still. There are a lot of people that do, but they might be a financial planner that is a veteran. So it's kind of our community coming together to help each other. I believe strongly if this is a career field that you want to come into, that we should help service members up and over the wall. It shouldn't be so difficult to start their career. I think there should be great mentorship. So that's another component of MilMoneyCon. And then also the earning ability. Every year, the Finner Foundation sponsors about 50 military spouses to become accredited financial counselors. Every year, the American College of Financial Services, their Center for Veteran and Military Affairs, sponsors anywhere from 30 to like 300 service members, spouses, and veterans to become CHFCs or CFPs. And that is amazing and wonderful. There's all these people helping in the community, but the missing component of that is the other end of the pipeline is how are these people going to make money? How are they going to be gainfully employed? And with military spouses, I often say they can't work part-time or full-time. They can work maybe preschool hours, 3 hours a week, 3 times, where the kids are in preschool. And so connecting them with companies and organizations that want to hire our community in a non-traditional way, I think is really important. And so that's the last part is this earning component, because if you take the time to become a financial professional, if you are not making money at it, you're going to leave the profession. And that's the part that frustrates me is I started seeing a lot of military spouses leaving the profession because they weren't making any money. There wasn't any consistency to it. And so for me, like, I got out of the military. I wanted to be in finance. I didn't have any mentorship. I didn't have anybody explain the playing field to me. And so that is kind of why I started MilMoneyCon, is to kind of bring the community together to help each other. I say rising tides lift all ships. We can definitely help each other up and over the wall and with our careers, and also the continuing education is like staying current on things. I have a special event that I do at MilMoneyCon called Make Your Point. And it's kind of a non-traditional session, but basically it's a board that goes into the exhibiting area and the trafficked area of MilMoneyCon, and attendees can put their point on the board, and then other attendees vote to see which one they want to hear more about. And at the closing session, they get the opportunity, the top 3 people get the opportunity to make their point to the community, to tell us like what it is, why we should care, and most important, like what can the community do about it? And I always use the example of buy now, pay later. Like, hey, I think there should be more education and training on this. And that's my point to the community is like, we should all get on this. And there are sometimes things that we are seeing in our communities, especially as it relates to the military, that if we all got onto it sooner, and that might not be a problem. It could also be a solution, something that's working at one base that could help everybody, or one thing that's helping veterans that we can now apply to other people. So the conference is really about us all coming together to help each other out.
Date and location.
I know, I didn't hear. Got 2026 plans?
Or is it TBD still? Or you?
She just doesn't
close. It's so close.
Breaking news.
Yes, I haven't signed the deal yet, so I don't want to say it publicly. But it will be in the spring of 2026, about the same time frame, April, May, probably more May. And yes, and the location I'm very excited about. If the deal gets signed, that I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And I always kick off the conference with a 5K run, a fun run, as another networking, bonding experience. And we have a great location for that. So I think it's going to be an epic year for MilMoneyCon.
That's awesome. I'm envisioning Tom running in the fun run, dressed like a piggy bank.
I'm seeing it too.
And I'm seeing this on your website, on our website.
I would love that. I do put out a lot of photos of the run. So I would love that. And you get a medal, Tom. Once you finish, you get a custom MilMoneyCon medal.
There you go, Tom.
Just as a participation award, or do I have to finish?
That's going to have to be
in the top 3.
But I will say a lot of people walk it and network while they're doing it. And there's
crawling. All right.
Yeah, scooter.
Yes. And I try to do fun signs, like run like you're trying to beat an IRS deadline, some fun, like specific.
Yeah.
That is so clever.
Yes. So we have a lot of people that volunteer as well to come and support and cheer people on.
Awesome.
All right, back to Lacey as an individual, your Air Force career. Again, thank you. As Jodi mentioned earlier in your intro, that maybe just how you got into the military.
Yes. So I grew up military. I'm actually the 4th generation of my family to serve. I won't bore you with the family history, but it goes back.
We just want to hear more about grandma. Yeah.
Yes. No. Well, her husband, my grandfather, was a ball turret gunner in World War II. That to tell the tale. So yeah, that's always an interesting story. But no, my father was a military police officer in the Army, and I knew that I wanted to go to college. But after I graduated, I didn't think I was ready for that, and I wasn't sure which way I was going to go. So I thought I would join the military, and I leaned towards the Army at first. But then after a conversation with my dad about what daily life would look like, I decided to talk to an Air Force recruiter and went that way instead of the Army. And I served 4 years. I got out right before 9/11. So I've been out for quite a bit. And I had an administrative computer job with great opportunities. I worked on a special team. I also had the opportunity to work for NATO in Italy, which was a great maturing and learning experience for me to see how other militaries work, how other cultures work. And so I was super happy I did that. I always say joining the military was the best decision I ever made for myself. And I learned a lot about myself. I was under great leaders that helped mentor me. So that was huge for me. And then I met my husband when I was on active duty and rolled right into being a military spouse and all the trouble, challenges that come with that around my career, family life, those type of things. But yeah, I just come from a really big military family, and that's something that I wanted to do. I wanted to serve and give myself time to grow up and earn some money.
And you spent time at Fort Campbell, right?
Yes. My husband was stationed there. He retired out of Campbell.
Okay.
Screaming Eagles.
And
yeah.
And of course, you couldn't just sit idly. You had to be part of ACS there, right? So you had to be part of the education.
Yeah, so much so they gave me a cat card because I volunteered so much. And I always use that example because those were my hours. They were preschool hours. I worked 3 times a week for 3 hours while my boys were in preschool on base, and had the opportunity to work on my career, volunteer, and really figure out what I wanted to do, but also how I could serve better and be better at my craft, and things that I saw definitely made me passionate about, and still to this day keep me motivated on some of the things that I do. And why I'm doing it is a lot of what I saw at Fort Campbell.
Thank you. I'm ready.
Are you?
I am.
So I think for the 3 of us, it's perhaps easier to think about how we put action or put legs behind some of what we're talking about. Tom and I were part of a financial institution, so that comes with resources and opportunities. But for members of our audience that are sitting here listening to us and they're thinking, yeah, this is a place where I think that I've got skills, expertise, value that I could add back. What would you say could be a call to action for folks that might not be positioned the same as the three of us sitting here today? How can they help serve that military community, whether it's active duty, spouses, veterans, you name it, to enhance their financial journey? I think MilMoneyCon is perhaps a way. What other ways might you suggest?
And I think to add to that financial success, right?
Yeah.
What is that definition? Because everybody in this, all 330 million of us in this country probably has a different definition of it too.
Yeah.
Yes. So are you saying like people that just have a financial expertise that want to help, or just in general people that want to help?
Either, really. I mean, some people might feel moved or compelled to help, but maybe they're not a financial expert. Are there ways that they can engage, volunteer, help, maybe with things that don't require financial expertise, but they're willing to be an extra set of hands to do something? Or, certainly people that have financial expertise.
Man. Well, I would say one is to donate to the aid societies. I think that's really important to help provide grants to the military community for things. I mean, I've seen things where, they just, when kids are involved and service members need to uproot their entire life or bring a family to them, whatever it is, you would be surprised, or fires, things like that, where it's just has nothing to do with their planning. It just happens with life happening to them. So grants, I think, are a really great way of that. And also volunteering. Most military installations have a volunteer corps and a coordinator that you can reach out to start volunteering on military installations, whether that is helping with classes they're teaching on home buying, whether that is, being part of the processing line for deployments or redeployments, mobilizations. I really am a fan of volunteering. I think there's a difference between your career and your business versus volunteering, and making time in your schedule to be able to give back to people, I think is huge. And then also just to being aware of the resources and what's correct information. Sometimes that frustrates me that people share incorrect information or aren't aware that information is there. Like, people don't realize how much financial information is provided by the Department of Defense uniquely to service members, but then also they have a whole different segment, the Mil Spouse Money Mission, for military spouses. So things specific to them. So having resources that you're guiding people to, making sure you have the correct information, I think is important. And I don't know if that answers your question, Jodi, but
No, I think it does.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then Tom's like financial success. I do think that looks differently for everybody. I think social media has skewed a lot of that. I just did a whole episode on this on my podcast because I'm frustrated that for some reason we've moved the goalpost or just created a new one. But financial success used to be, you don't have any debt. You have some money saved up for emergencies or unexpected expenses. You might have a paid off car.
Own a home. Yeah.
Own a home. But suddenly now it's like, no, you got to take your kids to Europe every summer. You have to have like fancy clothes. You have to be taking photos of really expensive dinners, sharing on social media. So that has changed what people think is financial success. You didn't used to see every vacation that everybody went on.
I know.
A lot of people were happy going to a campground with their family. I mean, our vacation was a PCS. We got to see some sites on the way to our next installation. And I think people should be mindful of that. Is like, if you have these basic infrastructure in your finances, you are financially successful. And you don't need to have all these other fancy things. Yeah, that's great. But that stuff comes with time. I don't think when you're 21 or 22 and starting a family, or 25 starting a family, that you need to worry about a European vacation. You probably need to worry about building up your saving for your retirement, saving for your child's education. Those things are more important than that's a nice to have is going on a fancy trip. So I just think things have been skewed and people need to remember, like, you're doing all right. I also think that throws people off is like, well, I feel like I'm not doing good enough. So why don't I just go ahead and put this on a credit card? Or I'm never getting there. I haven't built my business or built my career, and it discourages them when in fact they're doing really well. I see it all the time with people I coach as they come in and they're like, I'm not doing well. I need all this help. And then I look at their stuff. I'm like, you're actually doing really great. Yeah, you might not be doing an annual Disney trip, but man, you've got the money in savings. Yes. Yes. So I just think that people need to keep things in perspective and not let social media mess with their mind.
Yeah, no, it's a picture of perfection and not all the dirty stuff behind the scenes, right? So
I'm going to do one final question, then we're going to get to the close here. But you and I and Jodi are going to fact check AI today, okay?
Uh-oh.
Because
Okay.
are we supposed to believe everything from AI?
No.
Okay. So here are the top financial issues for military families. We're just going to see if you're seeing the same thing in the landscape of your life and your daily interactions with folks. That there are high cost and financial strain of frequent PCS moves. We talked about that earlier. Spouse unemployment because of those moves, pay issues, and Jodi mentioned that on several broadcasts with our
In season one.
in season one.
Yes.
But it always used to be like they were flat, never kept up with it. And they were always fighting upstream about that. Increased household expenses, which we know that, not that tariffs have impacted us yet, but we know that inflation is a big impact for people and the cost of goods. And then challenges with debt and insufficient emergency savings. You know, AI was pretty much on point with a lot of those, right, Lace? And
Yes.
But are you seeing anything differently out there? And then to add to that, I think if these things are impacting the lives of our military families and service members, if people want to look in the mirror and say, I need help, right? I got to find a counselor. I got to find someone that can get me through this. Are there recommendations on how they should go about that process? And again, there's a lot of fakes out there, right? And there's a lot of scams out there. And how do you discern between what's real, what's not, and who's credible and who's not? But maybe at a high level, are you seeing those issues that are facing our military families today? Because we've talked about food insecurity, we've talked about homelessness with guests, and those are real issues too. But what's your take on it? And then if they do want to look in the mirror, where should they go and how should they get there?
I think agree. Most of those were correct. I think debt is a huge issue. And a lot of it does have to do with the and underemployment of military spouses, the frequent moves. And there's just things that people outside of the community just don't really get. And I always give the example, and it's so silly, but it's so true. And if you've ever moved in a military, you get it. You never know how many windows are going to be in your house. But you want your family to have privacy and security. And so when you get to that location, if you need to buy 5 new sets of curtains, you're going to buy 5 new sets of curtains. Yeah. And so it's like, you don't know that that's going to be a little bit of an expense. And so people always say, well, they get money for the move, but it's like, it's the little stuff that adds up. I'd also like to throw out there is the missing stuff. You know, you don't know that your rake is missing because you PCS'd in the summer, but you find out come fall when the leaves are coming down that, we now have to buy a new rake because it was not in our household goods. So these little things start to add up. And again, if you're going paycheck to paycheck, you know, a new rake is an expense that you didn't need. So those type of things, I think, do impact the community. And then I do think that social media, one thing that's not on your list, is really starting to impact financial decisions.
Agreed.
In the wrong way for service members, whether that's, you know, buying cryptocurrency, buying meme stocks, shorting things, making financial decisions that they don't understand about, which is, there's nothing wrong with I'm still trying to wrap my mind around cryptocurrency. So there's nothing wrong that you might not have a firm grasp of it. But the thing is you're basing your decision off of what somebody says online, and they don't have your best interest at heart sometimes. So if, you know, the shorting of stuff, I think people don't realize they can get out before you can, and they make a financial gain by getting you to do this thing. Anyway, so short is social media is messing with some things there.
There's always this get-rich-quick scheme mindset in people. And if it's too good to be true, it probably is. And if people shift that mindset, I think they can be more financially responsible too.
Yes, I think keeping it simple is the best thing that you can do. You don't need to overcomplicate it. And that's why I brought up the point about what financial success really is. And social media it's not accurate. Like if you have the basics in place, like you're doing awesome. Contribute to your thrift savings plan, contribute to an index fund, whatever it is. Spend less than you make and save is really the baseline of everything that I do. So if you are doing that, you're knocking it out of the park, because then you have more money to pay for expenses that come up that you weren't planning, or for your future self. I always say right now, you are saving money for 2 people, for your 80-year-old self and yourself. And so if you are not putting away money each month for your future self, you're not going to have the quality of life that you want when you're 80 years old. So I think keeping it simple is really important. And then finding help, whether that is just wanting to understand something, that is really important for people to know. Is that's what on installation, you could just go talk to a free financial counselor.
Exactly.
And and get their opinion, get their 2 cents, bounce an idea off of them. They can let you know some things. I always say start with the free if you can, whether that's at your bank, whether that's on a military installation, whether that's military one source. Free is best. You might be at a different level. Maybe there's a difference between needing financial help and guidance and then wanting a financial planner, wanting somebody to invest your money and help you do that. That's a different ball game. But to understand like how to get out of debt, understanding how to use the TSP, those type of things, you can use somebody for free. And then when you go and meet somebody, know what you want, or have an idea like, hey, I don't like that we're living paycheck to paycheck every month. That's a great baseline to tell a financial counselor or coach. This is what I don't want. And then they can take it from there. Let them do their job. And if you don't feel like you're resonating with them or they're resonating with you, you don't feel like they're doing a good job, then set up an appointment with somebody else. And if they're offended by that, it shows that they weren't a good fit for you. It confirms your first instinct. Yeah. But usually a good financial counselor, coach, or planner isn't going to be offended. Like, no, I might not be resonating with you, but I want you to get the help you need. So by all means, like, here's some other people that might be good for you.
Yep, that makes total sense.
I think everybody should just contact Lacey.
What's your cell phone number? No.
How do you think people should get in touch with Lacey?
Well, it's funny that you asked because I was about to ask her. So good job, Tom. This is the things we need to know from Lacey. Your websites, maybe there's more than one, where people can find your podcast, more about MILMO, more about
MilMoneyCon.
MilMoneyCon. You looked like you were about to say something.
No,
I paused.
I'm just counting, seeing if your number matches.
So where can we find you and all of this information, Lacey?
Yes, a great way to start is LinkedIn. I'm Lacey Langford on LinkedIn. You can message me there, connect with me there. Also, I do have 2 websites for MILMO, where I help the military community make, save, and invest money wisely. That website is milmo.co. So MILMO.co. And on all social media platforms for that, it's MILMO. Yeah, you can message me there. And then also for my conference for financial professionals, that website is MilMoneyCon.com. And the social media handle for all of those is MilMoneyCon. And I love it when people reach out. Sometimes if I'm a little bit crazy, it might take me a while to respond. Not a while, but just not that day maybe. So, but love talking with people if you ever have a question. And again, I'm not all about my ego. If I don't know it, I'm going to point you in the right direction. So
she has so many handles and stuff.
I know.
I don't have to write all that. I just have one.
Well, I never intended to start 2 businesses, but usually when something frustrates me, I want to do something about it. And that's what ended up why I started a conference. I wanted to help the community. So, but it all leads back to helping service members. I feel strongly a stronger financial force will have a very positive impact, not only on service members and their families, but veterans and their families. And so it all kind of leads back to this group of people. I really want to help them, and I'll do it on many different fronts.
You know what? We're gonna unveil a statue of Lacey at the MilMoneyCon 2026 in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Well, great. Glad you got that all planned out for her, Tom.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Well, I tried to get her to say it's not in Milwaukee, but
yeah, it is not in Milwaukee. I'll go ahead and rule that one out.
You should tell Tom it's in Milwaukee. That way he goes there and he doesn't come to your conference.
But I'll be dressed as a piggy bank, and people
dressed
wonder,
as a piggy bank in Milwaukee. So
where's the 5K?
Look for Tom. Oh my God. Well, so I think that was a great summary, Lacey. And so we'll make sure that we are able to share all those different ways to get in touch with you. Before we let you go, you've been kind enough to give us almost an hour. We would hope that you'd have just a couple minutes to play Military Minute with us. So
Lacey played a game with me, right? 2 truths and a lie. We're going to play 464 truths and 91 lies.
No, we're not, Tom. We're going to play Military Minute.
Okay. That's a new one.
I'm drawing the line. Yes. So this first question you could totally answer. Tom made it kind of complicated last time. He insisted on a 3-part question, which I don't think we'd ever done before. Nonetheless, so if you know the answer to this one, you can totally say it out loud.
I think she will. She's smart.
It's about the U.S. Military Academy at West Point. Again, 3-part answer. What year was it founded? That it being West Point. What is the motto for West Point? And which 2 U.S. presidents went to West Point?
I can honestly say I know none of those.
Well, we can edit that.
Google's Lacey. My friend. Yes, we'll feed you the answers. No. Well, I bet a lot of people probably had to Google this one, especially because, it's 3 parts, kind of a long thing. But if you are in our audience and you said 1802 was when West Point was founded, that the motto is duty, honor, country, which makes sense. And the 2 U.S. presidents were Ulysses S. Grant and Dwight D. Eisenhower. Then you are 1, a genius, and 2, you should watch for your name to be dropped as the lucky winner of $50 for yourself and $50 to a charity of your choice. And then we're going to fast forward to this week's Military Minute. So you can't answer.
Why do presidents always have an initial in their name?
Because they're important, I guess. I don't know. Because maybe there was going to be another Dwight Eisenhower president and his middle name was different. They needed to tell them apart. Like George W. Bush,
Robert
George
F.
H.W.
Kennedy.
Bush.
Well played. You didn't even plan for that.
No, I
did
didn't.
you?
I'm just ready for you. That's how we do this.
Right.
So this week's Military
Season 2,
Minute.
Episode 1.
This week's Military Minute, Tom, is a question about podcasts. So none of us can answer this one, and I wouldn't have known the answer anyway. But in honor of Lacey having so many podcast episodes, we thought we would ask our audience, what is the name of the podcast with the most episodes published, and how many episodes are there? So 2 parts, not 3. So we're grateful.
I knocked it down, 50%?
A third. So if you are in our audience and you know the answer to the name of the podcast with the most episodes published and how many episodes that is, make sure you comment that when we drop this podcast. And if you are right, that's an important detail. If you're right, you too could win $50 for yourself and $50 to a charity of your choice.
Did you know the answer?
I did not know the answer, Tom.
You're probably, you feel complete now.
I certainly do. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Lacey.
Yes.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
So if you enjoyed today's episode, go out to afbank.com and subscribe to the show. You can also rate us or leave us a comment on your favorite podcast platform, which is Apple, Spotify, and YouTube.
Very good.
Lacey, high marks. Good job.
Yep.
Well done.
It was a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hope you all have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Copyright Armed Forces Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender. All non-Armed Forces Bank-owned apps, websites, company names, and product names are trademarks or registered trademarks of their respective owners. Their mention does not imply any affiliation with or endorsement by Armed Forces Bank of them or their products and services. They are merely used as examples of the many available apps, companies, and websites that offer similar services. Before using any app or website, you should carefully review the terms of use, data collection, and privacy policy. Apps may have an initial cost or in-application purchase features. This information is general in nature and is not intended to be legal, tax, or financial advice. Although Armed Forces Bank believes this information to be accurate, it cannot ensure that it could change. Statements or opinions of individuals referenced herein are their own, not Armed Forces Bank. Consult an appropriate professional concerning your specific situation and respective governing bodies for applicable laws, such as IRS.gov for current tax law. Armed Forces Bank, the Armed Forces Bank logo, and the Militarily Speaking logo are registered trademarks of Armed Forces Bank.